as we hear from our candidates for the position of Director of Spiritual Life and School Minister, we're glad today to welcome Rhee Soo Lee. Welcome, Rhee Soo. Rhee Soo will graduate from Harvard Divinity School this spring. She went to Wesleyan for her undergraduate work. Last year she did field education at Milton. So she's ready for us. Are you ready for her? You ready for us, Soo Lee? Rhee Soo, don't mind me. It's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Flanders, for that interesting introduction. Thank you all so much for having me today. I'm glad to be able to take this time to see all of you. Somehow I'll fit into this room. So I want to start today by sharing a quote from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who once said, "It has long been an axiom of mine that the little things are infinitely the most important." When I was a little girl, I wanted to change the world. I had a number of aspirations during my childhood that took on many forms, but the common thread was that I wanted to do something big, important, and amazing. I remember checking out books from the library when I was 10 about genetics and taking notes on gene mutation because I was convinced that one day when I was older, I would cure cancer. In fact, I secretly feared that cancer would already be cured by the time I went to college and there would be nothing important left for me to do. Now, I gave up on the dream of becoming a scientist after a year of biology during my freshman year of college, but my tendency to dream big never changed. After doing an internship in Washington, D.C. before my senior year, I focused on my next thing to change the world, becoming a public interest lawyer. The combination of being in D.C. and years of watching Law and Order gave me a sense that this would be the best way to make the biggest impact. So I graduated Wesleyan with a plan to study for the LSAT and apply within the year, to go to law school, then to go on to make my mark in creating a better world. And as you can probably guess, that plan didn't quite happen, but here I am anyways. After college, I moved to Boston to start a year-long fellowship with the Episcopal Diocese of Massachusetts, which focused on the intersection of faith and social justice. I worked at a nonprofit in Dorchester doing community organizing and youth leadership development, and it was here where I slowly began to see that my life didn't have to be all about big things. Even though organizing is about creating structural change in society, the type of big changes that I had always hoped to make, what I found to be much more meaningful were the relationships I built with the youth in my program. Every Monday, I had individual check-ins with my group of 5 youth where we would talk about how their leadership and organizing efforts were going. But we would also chat about other things like school, friends, family, teenage romances, TV show updates, weekend plans, school lunches, and so on. I came to understand that in these moments together, it didn't matter to them that I hadn't cured cancer and that I wasn't going to become a lawyer who changed the world. They just wanted someone who listened, who they trusted, who validated them. In this way, these small conversations, which seemed so minuscule in the grand scheme of things, provided a safe space for them. And this, more than most of the organizing work I did that year, gave me a profound sense of meaning. I became acutely aware again of how little things matter during my first year of divinity school when I did a field education placement in an urban tutoring program in Roxbury. During my year there, I had many conversations with my supervisors about the structural and systemic inequality in the education system that unfolded before my eyes, with many of our students performing severely below grade level, yet still moving ahead to the next grade year after year. My tendency to want to change the system surfaced many times, but I was also able to recognize that just because I couldn't change the entire educational system in the United States didn't mean that sitting with the students for an hour reviewing algebra equations didn't matter. In fact, I found these moments to be the most memorable in my year there, helping someone solve a handful of math problems in our time together, however brief it was. This mantra, little things matter, has also played a significant role in shaping my faith life. I grew up non-religious for the majority of my childhood, but when I was in high school, I did a complete 180 and became very involved in my local Presbyterian church. On some Sundays, I would spend my entire day at church, from volunteering at a local hospital early in the morning to attending afternoon service and then 2 hours of youth group after. No matter what I did, though, it never felt like enough. I would constantly berate myself, saying that I wasn't praying enough, or I wasn't reading the Bible enough, or I wasn't paying enough attention during the sermons, though in my defense in my church, they were 45 minutes long. Whenever I was in youth or church or youth group, I felt like everyone else was doing all of these right things, and that I was alone and not doing enough. This sense of unfulfilled responsibility and guilt weighed so heavily on me that by the time I got to college, I had almost given up on faith altogether. It took 5 years after this moment in my life to see that even in faith, little things matter. To me, being a Christian and a person of faith is not about strictly following doctrine or how often we go to church. Faith is about small things, too, whether that means praying for a few minutes or enjoying a moment of silence. Faith doesn't always have to be expressed in marvelous or hugely significant ways for it to be meaningful. Being in a big church on Easter Sunday with hundreds of people can be great, but so is sharing communion in a small hospital room with 3 other people. Having had both of these experiences, I can safely say that it's not about the quantity or the magnitude, but about the quality and the intentions. And as we heard from today's reading from Mark 12, sometimes 2 copper coins means more than much larger sums. Faith is something that also happens outside of the church on an everyday basis. And one of the best things about my time in divinity school has been to see the wide variety of religious expression and the ability to cultivate faith in ways and in forms outside of the church. For instance, for my friend Cynthia, her faith leads her to work at the Outdoor Church, a church that serves the homeless community in Cambridge by having short services on Sundays and delivering sandwiches and toiletries every weekend, rain, shine, or snow. To my friend Adrian, faith means working at a nonprofit with previously incarcerated folks who are studying to earn their GEDs. To John, faith means leading day-long meditation retreats and practicing contemplative silence. All of these are small, yet incredible expressions of individual faith, and it has made me rethink what it means to be a person of faith in the first place. So to me, faith is all of these things and much more. It's about finding the holy in everyday life and in small ways. Faith is about doing good in the world and about leading lives of service. I've expressed my own faith in little ways and in different places over the last 3 years, from helping to coordinate a weekly Eucharist in my school community, to volunteering at the Norfolk prison as a mentor to Lewis, an incarcerated man who is earning his bachelor's degree. I'm not necessarily changing the world, but maybe I don't have to. Because being a person of faith means taking opportunities, whether big or small, to do good. There is so much emphasis in our society about big things, though, whether it's about being the best at something or accomplishing something incredible. After all, no one remembers who got second place or those who never even make it to the competition. And there's a tremendous amount of pressure that we all face as students, teachers, sons and daughters, teammates, coaches, friends, and the many other roles we play, to always be the best and nothing less, and to be the best by doing great things. This is an admirable aspiration, but it's not everything. And if we shift our expectations of ourselves and of others to remember that small things matter too, in everyday life and in our faith lives, it can have huge ripple effects. It can be really discouraging to look at the big picture all the time, but I'm not advocating for rejecting the world altogether or rejecting big things. because I still believe that there are things we can do and things that people do every day that helps make the world a better place. I think cancer will still be cured, even if it won't happen because of me. I have simply tried to appreciate small things, to cultivate a sense of gratitude and fulfillment, because small things in life and in faith matter. Every day doesn't bring monumental changes, but there are small things that we do and that people do every day that brings joy in one form or another. For me lately, this has included when the bus comes on time, getting homemade ice cream on a hot summer day, so I guess that's not very recent, but typically, and watching several episodes of Friday Night Lights in a row, among many things. These are just some of the small things that we can learn to appreciate in our everyday lives. I think Mother Teresa sums it up best when she says, "We can do no great things, only small things with great love." Amen.